Well, howdy, everybody. This is Willem.
And I'm Tim.
And this is, wow, I messed up that, but this is Hear Me Out Pitch. Should we do that over again? Yeah, it's fine.
Nah.
It's fun. It brings some humor, but howdy to everyone out there, and welcome to our show. If this is your first time, and really doesn't matter if this is the first episode you choose, honestly, I kind of prefer it because some of our early stuff, the audio was crap. I've had a few people recently be like, oh my gosh, I love your show. It's been so good. I'm like, what episode did you listen to?
Mhm.
But yeah, we are just two nerds. We love just talking about movies. Lately, we've just been fed up with the movies that Hollywood's been giving us. And
Lately, as in the
honestly,
last few years.
oh, good night. M. Night Shyamalan. Seriously, it has been a... and this movie was no different. This movie wasn't. And a big shout out to Jerry from work for really insisting on this movie. And this is going to be a good discussion. But honestly, I feel like it's just going to be a Love and Thunder rehash. Because once again, DC has taken one of their most strong, intimidating characters, in my opinion, and turned him into a joke.
Yep.
Especially with someone who is so good of an actor as Jason Momoa, who I know is funny, just like Chris Hemsworth. They both can be funny, but these characters are not to be taken as a joke. And if for anyone, Aquaman 2, oh my goodness. I think this is our earliest we've ever talked about a movie that came out.
I think so.
It's crazy.
Yeah. This movie. I'm gonna preface everything. I would rather watch Babylon 80.
Oh my gosh.
I know that movie's become a joke
What
for us here on the podcast, but I honestly, I would much rather watch Babylon 80 than Aquaman 2.
Babylon 80, at least we get done faster.
Yeah, we get done 20 minutes faster, and
It's at least
it kept the tone.
yeah.
That was another thing. It kept the tone throughout the whole movie. There was
never some random humor.
Mhm.
It was just a lot of randomness.
Yeah.
And honestly, the questions I feel bad that this movie's making us sound like we like the movie. We don't. But I wish I could see. I wish it makes me want more of it.
Mhm.
It's like getting teased one of the best, not even the best. It's like when you go to Costco and you get a sample and you're like, is this good or not? It's like they let you just close your eyes and you lick the sample and then they took it away and you're like, well, what was it?
Mhm.
I don't know if that analogy made sense at all, but
I would say more like a smell.
oh,
You know, like phantom smells. Every
Yes.
now and again, you'll smell something, and it's like, ooh, that smells good. But what? What is that?
I hate when I get phantom smells and I go, I smell pennies.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that gets that. That has that.
I do smell pennies sometimes, but I was thinking of that iconic vine, which is one of my favorite vines.
Oh no,
Have you not seen that?
I haven't seen it. I
Dude.
legitimately smell pennies every now and again at random.
You might need to go get checked.
Maybe.
This dude just sits there and he's got a handful of pennies. Like, oh boy, me and my pennies. And this dude busts through the door. You know, it's just vine, random, and just dude busts through the door. I smell pennies, and just screams. And I love it. I love that. I miss Vine. I love it. 7 seconds to be creative. It's amazing.
Yep.
But this movie, the first scene with Aquaman, you know the movie's going to be bad when the first scene with the hero makes you so depressed, and then the scene with the villain made you go, wow. And it's funny because Love and Thunder literally did the same thing,
Yeah, they
but
did.
the opposite order.
Mhm.
It started off with not Korg, dang it, Gore, and then it goes to Thor, and we immediately go, oh, I'm not excited for this movie. Because they just butcher these two characters. And yes, you guys are going to get a lot of Love and Thunder hate in this episode because I was reminded so much.
This movie was honestly a lot like Love and Thunder.
It was at least the end fight. The last 30 minutes of this movie was decent.
It was decent. There were some parts that were kind of crappy. But
Not kind of. Oh, of the last 30 minutes?
Of the last 30 minutes.
Yes.
But for the first hour and a half,
Pain.
it was a joke.
Painful.
I think this movie, I was on my phone for most of this movie.
I was not.
I could not get into it. I
But
struggled
I didn't have my
so
phone with
bad.
me. So just to clarify that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there was a lot of issues with certain actors and actresses. We will not go into that. We will not discuss them. For all of you that are like, oh, was that actress in this? And I said actress, yes, but she wasn't in the movie that much.
No.
Her character was well done for the briefness she was in there.
Her character was okay.
They should have, in my opinion, they should have switched the actress because Mara is a big part of the movie and his story.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was so much.
This movie was supposed to be about the husband and wife working together and becoming closer as a family. And they did that with Orm. They had Aquaman's brother, and a lot of the movie became those two working together and growing close, becoming brothers. Much like Thor and Loki, except a little bit different, I think. But
yeah, there's a lot of similarities, and and I think it's fun. I pointed out to Tim that it made me chuckle because if you were to switch the actors for Aquaman and Orm, they would look more the parts of the comic book adaptations that we've seen for a while. Aquaman is originally blonde, blue-eyed, but I like Patrick Wilson. I loved him in Watchmen as Owlman. I loved him in Insidious. I think he's a good actor. I've only seen one Insidious movie, but I really do like him, and I thought he was a good Orm. It just makes me laugh because if I look at them and like switch them in my head, I'm like, Jason Momoa could have been a terrifying Aquamaster. Ocean Master. Aquamaster. Yeah.
No, he could have been.
But he was a good Aquaman. That last minute, those last 30 minutes, though, where Black Manta has him cornered, has Arthur Jr., Aquaman and Mara's son, about to just stab him just to reawaken this ancient sea demon, and Aquaman throws his trident, and he's like, "Get away from my son!" And I thought it was a joke because they kind of made the part, he says, "You want to fight? Come get it." And they made it in the trailer seem like that was a joking part. But when you add that to him threatening him, like, "Stay away from my son," he stances up, gets ready and says, "You want to fight? Come get it." Like, I was like, that is Aquaman. That was an insane part. I was not laughing at that scene like I was in the trailer. I was like, oh, okay. It's just Jason Momoa being sassy. Like, come get it. No, he was full on. And that's why I think trailers are kind of ruining movies too.
Yes. I think we could have a whole separate episode just on trailers.
I want to do an episode on trailers.
I think it would be smart.
And also commercials. Because there are some commercials out there that tell better stories in certain movies. And I want to dive into that someday. Because this is a podcast about storytelling. Anyway, moving on about this story. Whoa.
Yes.
We were getting so much. We are seeing so many movies that don't know what they are. Whether it's because of directors, creative differences, trying to please certain audiences. Can we just focus on fans? Just focus on the majority of fans and what they would want.
Pick your target audience. What is the target audience? You need to pick one. You cannot appeal to everybody, or you're going to have a movie like this one where it's garbage. You have to pick one audience, stick with it, stick with the theme. We've talked about theming before. This movie, right, the very first scene with Aquaman, and he's narrating and he talks about how now he's king and he hates it, and
there's a random
a
council
random council that shouldn't exist in my personal opinion.
Well, or at least they should.
Or they should have been introduced better, or something.
We only saw them for a little bit, and they were a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, and then he talks about his son, which was okay. I thought that was cool.
It's cute.
It's cute, and that does appeal to many audiences. But then we go from that, where he's joking all the time. He's being super sarcastic, and it just set the tone for the whole movie that it was going to be a joke. The movie was a joke. And then the next scene, we see Black Manta, which set the theme for the rest of the movie for his part. Super serious, super dark, super dangerous, right? And you can feel just how dangerous he is from that first scene. And then you go back, and the next scene is with Aquaman, and he's with his dad, and Arthur Jr. He puts the baby to bed, and then he and his dad have a nice back and forth. You know, how hard how hard Aquaman was to put to bed versus his son, and etc. And that was a good scene, and I think that should have been the scene that set the movie set the theme for the rest of the movie, for the
theme, the tone.
It bounced all over the place. It went from being super silly to super serious to a decent amount of serious with a little bit of joking, which is good to break up, the serious, the dark. And then it just kept bouncing back and forth between serious and silly.
Yeah, and it
honestly felt like, the phrase "two sides of the same coin."
Yes.
It was not that. It was two separate coins.
It was two separate coins.
And they were trying to push the coins together, but
it's two magnets that are trying to attract, and they're just polar opposite, going the same way, and they're not going to connect. You're not getting the theme. You're not matching the tone.
Yeah.
Aquaman and Thor. I'm going to compare them because they are very similar characters. They have the weight of their kingdoms on their shoulders. And Aquaman, at least this version of Aquaman, is trying to take this weight of responsibility and bear it. It's hard for him. And he's like obsessed with food. And I get that. He loves food. He loves beer. And he loves like a burger. And he wants his brother to relate. And they could have fit those scenes somewhere. Mm-hmm. Maybe when they were exhausted at one point, he's like, what I would give to be sitting with Mara, Arthur, and having a beer and a burger. And Orm could have been like, what in the world's a burger? Anything like that. And it could have been a bed, like, just simple. But don't take 3 minutes to, like, run up with a joke. Simple explanation, little tidbits here and there to show the brothers reconnecting.
You don't need to Dr. Doofenshmirtz every single joke in the movie. You don't have to explain it to make it not funny with every single joke.
I am not the biggest of Phineas and Ferb fans. I love the show and respect it. I do not watch it as much as Tim and some of our friends. But I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, Doofenshmirtz is a children's cartoon villain. He's ridiculous. And he's also an idiot. Everything, like, he sees a platypus that breaks into his house, doesn't have the hat on. Who are you? Like, it just doesn't work. A platypus? No, it's sorry, I just can't do, like, I've never, that's such a good way to say things. Like, the silliness has gone too much. Marvel and DC both been like, oh, silliness. James Gunn knows how to write the silly.
Yeah. He knows how to keep the tone while still throwing in the odd, hilarious joke every now and again.
And so I will admit, there are a few scenes in Guardians, all the Guardians movie and his Suicide Squad movie that I was like, not my cup of tea. But at least when you watch it later again, sometimes you go, that was pretty funny. Okay. Sometimes it gets you. Sometimes it doesn't. But that's okay because at least it's a timeless joke. Sometimes you'll like it. Sometimes you don't. It's like...
Yeah.
Oh. And so that's why I'm very excited because James Gunn knows how to keep the tone. And he honestly also loves... I don't know if these directors aren't reading the stories of these characters. Black Manta is one of my favorite villains, and Ocean Master. Like, I've loved it, and it's funny because I think to myself, I haven't really known them that long, but I realized that I was introduced to them in the late 2000s, which was almost 20 years ago, and I go, oh, I forget that I'm old. So yes, I've known them a fat minute. I've known of these characters for a fat minute. Young Justice did a wonderful job of getting Black Manta, but of Aqualad and young Black Manta and all that. But there's a version out there where Black Manta kills Arthur Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mara leaves Aquaman. And there's at one point where he's trying to discuss with the rest of the world, to be a diplomat and to work with them about working with Atlantis, the rest of the world, blah, yada, yada. Black Manta shows up out of the blue, and Aquaman tenses up, and Black Manta goes, how are the wife and kid? And you're like, oh! Aquaman attacks him, chases him, and Black Manta shoots the shrine of his dead son to pieces. Okay? The newest adaptation of Black Manta and Aquaman that was introduced in 2012 is that Black Manta is a pirate. His father was the captain of the ship, and they were treasure hunters, pirates. They're getting all this treasure, whatever. There's at one point he's set to prove the world that Atlanteans exist, so he goes to steal Arthur's, Aquaman's DNA. His father fights back, has a heart attack, and he dies. And during the funeral, Aquaman, still kind of young, goes onto the ship and kills who he thinks is Black Manta. Turns out to be Black Manta's dad. Kills him in cold blood with one hand. Chokes him out, Thanos and Loki style. Okay? Bam. Mm-hmm. Black Manta sees it. They hate each other because they killed each other's fathers. Honestly, endless loop of revenge. And then Black Manta, in other versions, kills his son. Other versions, Arthur trains Black Manta. There was so much there.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Manta in this movie,
great job.
He stole the show.
Agreed.
He's the best character in this movie for me. Every time he was on, I was like, yay. Mm-hmm. In the whole 25 minutes, he was... Oh, sorry. I just got like... out of breath and like just getting angry. So we basically had three antagonists, kind of minor half one with his brother. So we had Ocean Master at one point, Black Manta, and then the evil, unknown Lich King of the sea.
Yep.
And I gotta admit, and I gotta ask, how did you like that take? And honestly, how would you have done the Lich King differently? Because I feel like, maybe I should not assume, did you like that aspect at all or no?
I thought it was interesting. We talked about it last night while we were watching, or after we'd finished the movie, but that whole, the whole Lost City thing should have been introduced at the beginning.
I feel like Orm should have known about it.
Orm should have known about it. I think that Mara should have known about it. I think that
it was
I
decent
can't remember
knowledge.
The mom's name, Nicole Kidman's character.
Atlanta.
Yes. Should have known about... Anyway, more people should have known that it existed, or at least that it's, like a fairy tale.
It's taboo also.
It's taboo.
So many
something
things.
like that. I don't know. But
you live in an underground city that's been underground for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
You hide from the surface, and you're trying to say that the records are stricken. No, you'd want to know about this and be like, don't ever talk about this. Leave it alone. It was and it was introduced the last 30 minutes, just like Babylon AD, and I was flipping tables over it. The title of the movie is The Lost Empire, right?
The Lost City.
The Lost Kingdom. Lost Kingdom, sorry.
Lost Kingdom.
The Lost Kingdom. And we don't hear about the Lost Kingdom until the end. They don't say Lost Kingdom
until
the final act.
It's very end.
Flipping tables right now.
I think here's how I think the movie should have gone. The first 10, 15 minutes is the same, except get rid of the very first scene where Aquaman's narrating.
So you want the Black Manta scene?
Black Manta, the very first scene I want is that Black Manta scene. Cut everything before it and keep the next 10, 20 minutes, the Black Manta part, and then the next Aquaman little bit where he's talking with his dad. I feel like that helps introduce, Aquaman has a kid now and is married and is enjoying life. He's the king, blah blah blah. Do that better. Explain all of that stuff better without the stupid Doofenshmirtz jokes. Which, okay, I love Phineas and Ferb. I only say the stupid Doofenshmirtz jokes because they had to be explained, and they were so dull that they just weren't funny. Which, for Phineas and Ferb, it works because that makes it more funny.
But some of them you don't even have to get explained.
Yeah. But, like, in this movie, everything, it was just so sarcastic and stupid and...
Again, though, there was a lot of stuff, and there was a lot of tension. There was a crazy court case.
Yeah.
All this stuff. We don't know what it was like, so I can't fault this movie entirely, but you could have just replaced actresses. It's okay. They did it with Rhodey. We can live. They are just characters.
Yep.
Sometimes in comics, they get new artists and they look different. It happens. Happens with the Avatar comics that I own.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through the series, they get new artists and they look a little different, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
Just give us a good performance. That's what they need to do with King the Conqueror. Whatever.
The other thing, so after all of that, I would have the next 30 minutes.
30?
Just the next 30 minutes be they go get Orm, they go and they blow up the orichalcum furnace. I think that should have just not existed in the first place.
Well, I understand that.
Okay, here's the thing. Orichalcum is a pseudo-fantastical metal. It is real, but under a different name.
Is it like vibranium and adamantium?
No, it's more. Orichalcum is the ancient Atlantean name for brass, essentially.
Oh.
In ancient records, they refer to a metal called orichalcum, which historians say is brass or some alloy of copper or brass, something that looks like brass. Anyway, or it even could have been platinum because it was a very valuable metal, second only to gold.
I'll tell you right now. I think if this would have been done better and not shoved down the throat, I think the idea of them freezing this kingdom, turning it into the icebergs, and then them being terrified of it because of global warming, I honestly don't mind that because we're honestly seeing it nowadays with, naturally and our fault of the world. I don't mind for this to be like I'm advocating.
No,
but I'm just saying that
I know what you're saying.
It literally is like this could have been a very natural way to be like, and for him to just go, burn this metal, undo the empire. I don't care as long as you die. He's blinded by the hate.
See, I would have just had it be orichalcum is an ancient metal that is only found around Atlantis, and that's what they use to build their vehicles and weapons and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what maybe helps power their tech. Anyway, what I would have had is I would have had that 30 minutes be they go get Orm. They rescue Orm.
So you still would have had Aquaman rescuing Orm.
Yeah.
I would have had.
Actually, no. I would have had the one dude title, King Nereus. I would have had him have gone to get Orm with his army. Go get Orm, and have it not be an act of treason. I would have had it be, this is an act of war. We're using a war criminal.
But he was also the Ocean Master. He
knows what he's doing, and that's why we're getting him. And then, right, so that 30 minutes, they go get him, they go to the island, they go disrupt plans, and Black Manta escapes. And then we get the whole sequence where Black Manta kidnaps Arthur Jr., and then I would have the last like hour to hour and a half, whatever length of time is left, be at the Lost Kingdom. That's what I would have done, and it would have been a very it would have been a very action and adventure packed.
Yeah, because it was only like 30 minutes. I wish we would have gotten more. Would you have still had it frozen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have had it frozen, and I would have had parts of it thawed. And so some of the undead, their job at that point is to thaw or to break the ice of their comrades.
You see them breaking the ice with the how do you say that metal?
Orichalcum.
They're just
with just tools,
breaking
tools in general. And you'd see, I would have them, everything in Atlantis, all the metal stuff they use is white. So I would have had these creatures of darkness wielding white pickaxes and axes and things, just kind of contrast.
It would have been cool because the furnaces could have still been green fire, and that still could have been affecting, warming stuff up, and that's still a factor for what Aquaman has always been against it, because it was always about polluting, and Aquaman, there were parts, I remember as a kid, the cartoon at least, Aquaman kind of despised the upper world, because after he got into this land, he saw how we treated our oceans. He's like, I've seen this other side, and we don't care. Y'all want me to forget about this side and do that. And it's funny because Ocean Master in this movie was that kind of Arthur from when I was a kid. He was like, we need to be better. Which I thought, I liked Orm. I liked Ocean Master in this movie.
I like his character. I
agree.
agree.
Really quick, though, with the breaking out, I want to kind of throw my idea in the ring, is I would have had Black Manta. He needs to know about where this is, and he would have broken him out, and he's like, I'll get you out of here. And then that's when we discover that Orm's like, I'm not going to break out. That's the act of treason. And we see him like pound his face in. He goes, there, now I'm kidnapping you. You're coming with me. And he's still weak. Puts him in a suit or something. I don't know. I feel like Black Manta should have had Orm in the beginning. He's a thief. He wants to learn as much as he can, because when he finds a trident, he needs to know what to do, but he can't go to any Atlantean, so there's only one Atlantean he knows of. And I think it would have been cool to watch him use the trident, use his eye beams on those skeleton, dry fish people who were kind of cool.
Yeah,
I wish we would have gotten more of them. It would have been cool if
That's what I'm saying. Like, we got all of 5 minutes of an actual battle.
And we're getting all these kingdoms, and I'm like, looking like the Hobbit over here. I haven't seen the third Hobbit movie, and I don't want
to. Fair. No, I think the issue is proportions. For this movie, there's two main issues. Theme slash
timing? Or
no, theming slash mood.
Yes.
Versus timing and timing proportions. Right? We don't stick to the theme, and we don't stick to the same mood, right? Again,
we're in like 5 different places. The sets were gorgeous.
They were really well done.
The physical sets.
Yes.
The CGI was, some parts were there were some pretty good. That weird pirate cove. I almost forgot about that because it was
weird.
It
didn't last very long.
It didn't last very long, and that's what we're talking about.
I think that was the perfect length to have that be in my first 30 minutes, right? Like that's, if we're actually going to spend the time, take the time and have them go out and do that, then it should have been a little bit
See,
longer.
now Aquaman could have, maybe Mara could have taken him to, again, I should say that while I'm throwing this pitch out, I want you guys to imagine Amelia Clark as Mara, and so you don't have to imagine the other woman.
They were going to cast Amelia Clark for it.
So anyway, so when you guys are hearing our pitch, and I think Tim might agree with me, just imagine her in your head. I love her, by the way. If Orm would have been kidnapped by Black Manta, then Mara could have taken him to that pirate cove. We could have gotten better. We could have gotten that scene. It would have been great. Because most likely they would have known about Black Manta. They would have known about Orm. They would have heard rumors. It would have been quiet and discreet. They would have known about all of the shady stuff. I almost said a bad word. Shady stuff going around. And I feel like it would have just been better. Just the idea of introducing the Lost Kingdom would have been better. And I think the council, I feel like the council they had at the beginning in the first movie and just the separate kings kind of discussing, that was enough. We don't need this. I mean, there is, I don't know. If we would have got them stressing out more, it would have been fine. But we only got 3 scenes with this council. So either you make them a bigger threat and be like, if you don't find Ocean Master and Orm, we're going to expose ourselves, and not in a good way. Because if we're taking down the 7th Lost Kingdom, we're also going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and we're taking over the surface world. You know? But that makes no sense, because there are other Atlantean kingdoms. There's all these other kingdoms, and it just makes no sense that they're just kind of overrunning all these separate kings. It was just silly.
Yeah.
Now if the Krill King, who was Gimli, which I loved,
the Fish King,
if he would have been more like, we're going to kill the surface world, like, I'm sick of this, like, maybe that could have been a thing, but I don't feel like attacking the surface should have been a part of this movie.
No, it was the part of the first movie. It was a big deal in the first movie, which is okay. I mean, it worked.
Could have been a bigger thing in the 3rd movie if they had done this right. But we're not getting a 3rd movie because this is the last entry in the
DCEU.
DCEU. Yes, the DCEU. That
DC
is,
Expanded
we're getting
Universe. Is that what it's called?
something like that.
Yeah.
But it's going to get rebooted. So, but either way, point being, they could have ended this on a much higher note, and I feel like attacking the surface shouldn't have been a part of it. I feel like the talks of the surface world should still have been an issue and small things, but the bigger issue at hand was going to be this Lost Kingdom. It was going to take over. It was going to cause havoc. I like the idea of fathers and brothers.
Yeah.
I loved all those correlations. Arthur and his dad, Arthur and his son. We had the 2 brothers of the first Atlantean king and his brother. And then we had Orm and Arthur. Like, so many little fun connections. Just like the cycle that just kept going and going and going. It reminded me much of Kratos from the God of War games. I really like the idea of this cycle. You know, Atreus at one point looks at Kratos, who he learns all this. Is this what it means to be a god? Fathers killing sons, brothers killing brothers, back and forth. And I kind of think it applies to this movie of just, is this what it means to have power? Fathers killing sons, people killing their fathers, cycles of revenge. It was really cool to see Arthur and Orm kind of break that cycle.
And they worked together, and they became brothers. They didn't act like it for the very first bit, but as the movie went on and as Aquaman tried to get to know Orm a little bit better, like, he put in effort to talk to his brother, and yeah, he was a jerk about it half the time and sarcastic, because that's how that was the mood of the movie, but it worked, and Aquaman and Orm became brothers. By the end of the movie, they were brothers. They worked together. They fought together against a greater evil. They put aside their differences, and they accepted that they weren't alone, and they developed a relationship that was healthy. Orm was a criminal by the end of it,
did
right?
he kill anyone in the last movie? Or was he just full on just
don't-
rebelling,
I don't
rebelled,
remember. I
and was going
watched
to
the
fight
first
the surface?
movie once. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the biggest DC fan.
That's okay.
I like Superman. I like Batman, and I like the Flash. But
Aquaman isn't that big. My thought being is, in other versions, I've seen Orm kill his own mother to seize control. I've seen him, the one that connects him and Arthur. I've seen him attempt to kill Arthur Jr. I've seen him try to do so many things. But this last movie, he was just uprising, made a coup, basically, and was going to attack the surface because he felt like they were evil, which bugs me. If this council really is like, we're going to attack the surface world either way, then why in the world did you throw Orm in jail? They kind of did say that, but also it makes no sense to me.
yeah,
If Orm was willingly serving his time, and I feel like if he was kidnapped, taken, and helped save the kingdom, he could have been reinstated. I am absolutely fine with seeing Ocean Master and Aquaman be a good brotherly team.
yeah,
I would love that.
yeah. No, I agree.
So why don't we just do that? If you're gonna make this movie all happy-go-lucky, then fine. I kind of was on the side of him getting possessed. I don't know. Should we just say no to the evil weird king?
I think he should have had a bigger part.
I really like Lich Kings. Would you say that's technically a Lich?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, he's in charge of hordes of undead. So yeah,
Yeah, he was a Lich King. I kept saying that. Is the Witch King from Lord of the Rings technically a Lich? Okay. Sorry, everyone.
well, technically they're wraiths, but we're not going to get into that. That's a whole thing.
I have an obsession with liches after Adventure Time.
Mm.
I think that's one of the best liches ever. Either way,
Liches are fun. They're cool.
I don't want to fight one.
Too
Anyway,
bad.
but so how will help us? You being the D&D fantasy buff. Well, I don't want to try to mess. I want help in writing this Lich King better. So what would we do?
Here's what I would have done. I would have kept the whole Black Trident.
Love that.
I thought that was awesome.
Oh. Anyway,
what I would have done is I would have had the Black Trident be. I mean, it was a form of mind control at one point. It was straight up just fully controlling Black Manta.
Yeah, near the end, it was the king.
It was the I can't remember his name. But anyway, it was the Lich in control. I would have had
Cordax.
Yes. I would have had Black Manta be trying to free. Is it Cardax or Cordax?
Cordax.
I would have had him trying to free Cordax, so that Cordax could take over and kill Aquaman. And I would have had Cordax make Black Manta second in command. And so the undead would all respond to him, and he would carry out the plans of Cordax, and it would just be he'd have a bigger part in it. I would have had more scenes where Black Manta and Cordax are having a conversation through mirrors, through reflections, etc. What I would have had is at the end, right? Because Kordax awakens and then is immediately killed. And it was kind of anticlimactic. It was cool the way it happened. It was really cool, but it just felt super anticlimactic. What I would have had is I would have had Kordax awaken fully, and Black Manta. I would have had Black Manta fight Orm. I would have had a two-pronged battle. I would have had Black Manta versus Orm, and they would be fighting over Arthur Jr., and I'd have Mera in there somewhere fighting, and they'd be trying to protect Arthur Jr. while Black Manta's just going full revenge, just trying to get back at Aquaman, trying to kill his son, trying to kill his wife, kill his brother.
He wanted to take everything.
He wanted everything,
and that was in that.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and I wish that fight would have been very well done. I honestly think it should have been. I think Aquaman and Mara should have been fighting Black Manta, only just because Black Manta is.
Mm-hmm. I would have had that happen first.
Okay.
I would have had all of them fighting Black Manta, who is under the control of Kordax. I would have had that happen, and then Aquaman bleeds, and then we get the whole Kordax revival.
That scene was so. I did like that cool part. Just him punching Aquaman and his blood and him spitting blood all over the pedestal. I went, oh, and just the tone in his voice. Your blood will do just fine. I was like, oh, okay, this is the tone that should have. Why can't we have these dark tones? If it's going to be such a heavy character like King Kordax, Black Manta, and also if we look at Thor: Love and Thunder, Gore, why do we have to be all lighthearted?
Yeah.
These aren't lighthearted characters. These are tragic characters who are, in a way, they think they're justified. Kordax he was just a jealous younger brother, which this
is supposed to be the darkest story of its hero. Right? Take Thor: Love and Thunder, for example, right? That is easily the darkest story, and yet I feel like Thor: Dark World was darker.
Which I watched a few scenes, and guess what? Love it compared to Love and Thunder.
Dark World's not too bad.
It's not, well, not... But
no.
Oh, we will someday go into Thor.
Going back to the two-pronged battle, I'd have Orm and Mera fighting.
Make it 3 so it's a trident. I'm just kidding.
I could. Actually, that could be the third could be just the two armies.
I mean,
Atlantis versus what was the Lost City, Necris? Is that what it's called?
Necris.
That could be the third.
Which I've heard that name before. Anyway.
But then I would have Aquaman versus Kordax, and it would have been an epic battle, and Aquaman would be injured, and you mentioned it last night, and I think I want to go with it, and I know
hand?
He loses his hand. I would have it be.
You have to have Black Man to cut it off.
It would be.
It would really. Ooh. Maybe, and you could have him he could be like either holding his son or holding the trident, protecting his son, trying to get his son, and then this blade just because he's blinded by. That fight could be so well done because Black Manta could have been enhanced. Necris is just the curse of Necris is just flowing through him.
Imagine underwater Star Wars without lightsabers but tridents.
Okay, there were a few parts when those tridents clashed that I was like, that's lightsabers right there.
Yeah.
And it was
awesome. It was a good fight. And I think
so would you want Black Manta fighting with the black trident in this scene, or would you want Necris having it?
I would want I would want it to be Necris has it, and Black Manta is fighting with maybe another trident.
Kordak is the evil king. Necris is his kingdom.
Yes, Sorry, I'd have Kordax wielding the trident, and I would have Black Manta just using
He has two
his
blades. He has two blades.
He has two. He has
that he
his
hides
two
in his.
knives.
So that's what he probably would have been using.
That's what I would have had him fight with.
And Kordax could have shined his, and we can totally be cheesy, shined his trident, and we just see his blade just start vibrating with black necral. I hate necromancers, even though I love liches.
Oh, I know you do. I'm aware. I am aware. But no, So the final fight, I think the shattering of the trident was super cool,
Yes.
and I would have kept that. I would have had that be how it all ends. But it would be almost desperate. I would have the hand get cut off, and Black Manta standing there gloating, and then I would have Orm come in. I'd have him tackle Black Manta to the ground before he can kill Aquaman, and Aquaman just hurls the trident of what's his name of Atlan. Yes, the trident of Atlan, and it would pierce the bottom of the black trident, travel up perfectly, and just shatter the entire thing.
That was so awesome.
It was so visually pleasing.
Here's kind of a counter argument. So not counter argument, but a suggestion, because I lost the names of the cast. So Dolph Lundgren plays King Nereus, which was, I believe that's Mara's father. And he has his own trident because he's one of the kings of Atlantis, one of the many kingdoms. And I would have had him after, Orm saves him during the fight or whatever, something happens, and he gives Ocean Master, he gives him a gun. I would have had him say, I expect this back. And I would have had him save him, after he gives him the axe and he looks at him holding that little axe. I love that part. I really would have kept that because he doesn't trust him. Because we need to remember that he wanted him to marry Mara. He wanted him to be the king. And that's probably why he was so do not trust him. Do not he helped raise that boy. If I remember correctly, he's not his dad. I always forget who Orm's dad is. Anyway, that's not important. The important thing is that he was hurt by Orm. And I would have loved for him to look at Orm and say, I expect this back, and hand him his trident, because to me, Orm is probably the better trident fighter.
I would assume so. I mean, he's
been doing it
longer.
So I would have had, at some point, fill in the blanks, but I would have just had, after they beat Black Manta, we see, and I kind of imagine just the King Necrus finally breaks through the wall of ice and reaches out and picks up the trident, and he gets up and he has to fight. And they both are like, oh, we got this. He's old. How good is he going to be? And he just wipes the floor with them, Just Darth Maul with Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan. Just, they cannot do this. And I think I would have, at some point, don't know how, whether it be magic or he's, connecting to Orm, you're the younger brother. And look at our older brothers. My older brother was an idiot. He knew nothing. And he deserved everything. Atlantis was named after him. And look at his prosperity. And I wish he could have changed his face briefly, because the actor who played Orm looks more Atlantean than Arthur does because of their heritage. So it would have been just cool to just have him start possessing Orm, and we kind of get a fight. And I would have had Orm be the one, he's sitting there, he's pinned Arthur down, and Arthur's begging him not to kill him, and Orm be the one to throw the trident through the black trident. Just
that would be cool.
I think.
Yeah.
Just kind of I just want that, because they had that part where they both are holding the black trident, but I would have seen that there was a part of Orm still kind of like, he's right, but he's looking around and seeing him reconnecting with all the Atlanteans, reconnecting with Mara, who he's probably known for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He has found a brother. His mother is alive. All these things should bring him hope, and he overcomes it. And I would love to see that. Oh, I need to start running more. I get out of breath after I explain stuff. I don't know if I have a stuffy nose or if it's from the smoothie I drank, but I'm just like, whew, can't breathe. Whew. But yeah, there should have just been, again, fathers, sons, brothers versus brothers. So many things were just given to us in this movie that they just didn't use. Ugh. I hate it. I don't know. Either way, I want that scene with the trident going through it. I want the brothers to be together.
I do want there to be a conflict between the brothers until the very end.
Yeah.
I think that Orm's imprisonment / banishment should end.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
I think he helped save everybody, and Arthur as king pardons him and says, look, he's my brother, he'll answer to me, and I'm going to reinstate him as Ocean Master. I'm still king, but he will help.
And imagine if they're both like walking around at the end of the movie, they're being ambassadors for, he's like, imagine if Orm was the official ambassador of Atlantis, and he's walking around with him trying to learn everything now, and they're sitting down as a family, and he goes, so this is a beer and burger. He's like, yes. And we could
have the cockroach.
The cockroach scene was kind of funny. Like, that was fine.
It was
because that was pretty funny. He's like, oh, is this food? Or he picks up a cockroach. Like, yeah, shrimp of the ocean. I mean, shrimp of the land. And he eats it. And Arthur just like, and he never says anything. And I would have loved to see like Mara and his dad, Nicole Kidman, all just staring at him, just eating it. And Arthur's just behind him like, shh, like fingers to his lips, like, don't say nothing. Everyone around him is taking pictures. Like, it must be an Atlantean thing, just like Bug's Life. Like, it must be a circus thing. It just,
yes.
This movie could have been so healing. And because if you have a big conflict like that, tensions are high, things are at stake, to resolve everything and to just have that happy end, especially for the end of the DCEU, would have been cool. And I would have loved, I don't know why, they even could have just shown silhouettes of the superheroes just watching. It really bugged me. I was like, it was right there.
Having the Justice League there in the background would have been awesome. Maybe they could have been up on the stand with him. That would have been cool.
Because they all know about Aquaman. They all know about, they know about the mysterious Aquaman. And it's fine. We'll never know. And let us just hope. I am very hopeful for Superman Legacy. So here's probably the topic we haven't really gone over with this. What would happen to Black Manta?
I would have had him. I would honestly. I liked how he died.
I don't think he died though.
I don't think he. Well, it was the end of the DCEU.
He's dead.
He died.
But if
it wasn't the end, I think his end was perfect. He
So what would you have done in the fight?
I would have, honestly, it would have been the same thing. The black trident shatters, and the whole kingdom begins to crumble to pieces, and there's a chasm that opens up, and Black Manta falls in, and I would have had Arthur, Aquaman, reach down, and we can resolve this together.
Because he didn't help save his dad.
No.
Because he threw the trident at him because they were pirates, and he was stopping them, threw a trident through, and he begged him to save him. You're supposed to help people. And he's like, the ocean can have you. And
you can ask the ocean for
you can ask the ocean
or for
help. for mercy. You can
Mercy.
ask the ocean for mercy.
Hmm.
And, this time it's kind of answering that question is I'm showing you mercy,
Yeah.
reaching that hand. He didn't like go crazy extend. That's what I noticed because I was like, is he going to make a big effort? Is he going to reach his trident? No, he sat there and waited, which
Hmm.
I love. He said, I will meet you halfway in this.
And then Black Manta says never.
Because
And then lets
technically,
go, and then he falls.
he has all the resentment. He didn't kill Aquaman's father. He didn't kill his son in this one. This Black Manta
Failed.
has nothing on, like, Arthur has no reason to hate him. He just feels pity on him.
Hmm.
Which I kind of am like, I kind of would have wanted maybe the dad to die or something. I was really,
I expected it.
I really did too. I was like, that would have worked. He tries to save. It would have been nuts if, Black Manta's eyes shine and his dad being, quick-witted, seafaring dude, pulls out the harpoon gun and shoots. And when he gets home, it's just a terrible scene,
Mhm.
And it would have broke my heart because I'm like, I don't want to see another clone die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Credits for an old vet. That was
Yeah.
so depressing. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
But yeah, I think I would have the Black Manta's end be the same. And then in a third movie we could have him come back and it would be like he would be the villain.
all right. So two characters. One I want to talk about, and one that I think you kind of wanted to mention.
Hmm.
I wanted to talk more about Dr. Stephen Shin, but I know you were very interested with the character Stingray.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Stingray is an assistant to Black Manta. She's pretty cool. I don't know her too well, but from what I've seen, she's basically just a Robin to his Batman. She's formidable.
She is essentially the underwater Batman.
Yeah,
That's
that's what
she
some
is.
people see Black Manta as. But yeah,
Mhm.
I see more Black Panther as Black Panther of the
Yeah.
sea. And yes, you can take that. He was made in the 60s around the same time as Black Panther. I'm not going to... Anyway. So, we just want to see more of the... I don't know. Would you... I think we could have maybe gone without Dr. Shin, from what we've talked about, but I really kind of did like his character.
I liked his character and I liked that he had a part in saving everything, in saving Arthur.
That knife.
That knife.
I was funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, really quick. I just love that because so Black Manta has a part in this movie where, Dr. Shin is kind of this doctor who was with him at the beginning, discovered the Lost Empire, discovered the Lost Kingdom, is helping him, but he's questioning all of it. He hates seeing the world becoming warmer because of them. But at one point, he's like really questioning. He's like, I want to leave. And he's like, I'm done with this. And Black Manta pulls out this just old looking knife. Doesn't even look like, it's not like that intimidating. It really isn't. But he puts it up to his neck and he goes, every time I draw this knife, it must have blood. And he nicks him in the neck.
Mm-hmm.
And I really was expecting, I was talking to Tim while this was happening because Dr. Shin is with them. They've kidnapped Arthur Jr. and he's going to sacrifice Arthur Jr. And he gives him a bundle of clothing near the end, and they think that it's the baby, and then it blows up because it was a bomb. Dr. Shin's running. He's trying to get Arthur Jr., and he gets tased. And I really was expecting Black Manta to stab him with the knife. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was telling Tim that. Tim's like, no, just wait a second. And holy crap, he gets the baby, and he picks out that knife, and I went, oh, that's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I kind of would have wanted him to kill Dr. Shin with that knife. Because he would have stabbed him, killed him, and said, "What did I say about this knife?" But again, we want to have. There needs to be some loss.
There was mention earlier in the movie, and this is why I think how he survived is good. There was mention of Atlantis wanting to work with the surface scientists.
Yeah,
And Dr. Shin was a scientist who the whole reason he was doing what he was doing was because he wanted to see Atlantis.
He wanted to discover it.
That's it. He wanted to see Atlantis.
He was a very kind character. He was
kind.
never, is nefarious the right word?
Mm-hmm. He was never evil. He was always good.
And for anyone
D&D speak, he was a neutral good character.
Yeah.
I think.
And for anyone who doesn't know who Randall Park is, that actor, he is the FBI agent that watches over Scott Lang in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
So, love him, good actor. He was in WandaVision for a little bit. And he did a good job. It was funny because I was like, oh, is he going to be cheesy and lame? No, honestly, I don't have any gripes with his character. He wasn't like overbearingly silly like he is it works for him with Scott, because Scott is kind of a character that you do not know what you're going to get when you're talking to Scott. That's why I love the second Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
Not the third, though. Anyway.
As we talked about a few episodes ago. Yeah.
So you would have wanted him to live. And you know what? For everyone else getting a happy ending, I would agree with you. Stingray, I feel like could have been a bigger part. She just died because they were beating their
Stingray. Okay, here's the thing about Stingray. Stingray is Batman. I'm looking at it now. Stingray is Batman if Batman had not chosen bats.
Oh, was she
she
symbol. Originally?
No, it's Bruce Wayne.
Oh.
Stingray is supposed to be Bruce Wayne, but instead of choosing bats as his symbol, he chose a stingray instead. He wasn't supposed to be evil. However, in this movie, I would have kept it the way it was, but instead of having her just die, and honestly, she felt like a super lame sidekick villain. I feel like she should have had more screen time. I feel like she should have had her own suit. And I think she should have been more dangerous, because she just felt lame.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah,
she was just kind of the captain of this ship. And
I thought you were kidding when you were saying that I'm like, what do you mean by Bruce Wayne? So yeah, she's the character Stingray is from another universe.
Yeah.
So they just made up this character then.
Yep. What in the world? And I think they should have done more with her. Maybe have her survive with Black Manta, and then in the third movie they could be a duo, Manta and the Stingray. Or they could be like the Black Rays or something. I don't know, something cheesy. I just feel like her role in this movie was pretty pointless. Like, they put a lot of emphasis on her at certain parts, and then they just left her out.
They just made a random character, called it Stingray, and called it good. I really was like, never heard of this character. No, turns out it is totally an alternate version of Batman. That's nuts. So why on earth did they add her? Okay.
I don't know. I would have honestly, I like the concept.
Ooh, she's gonna be in the new Shogun show. Ooh.
But I don't know. I just felt like her character was so underwhelming, and her death when she explodes,
because they used whales.
They used whale. It just felt so stupid, and again, underwhelming. And they could have done a better job. There were a lot of things in this movie they could have done better.
I think Black Manta getting power to basically become a mini Lich, start slowly gaining an army. He's having these undead attack. Like, one of the first attacks is with these undead.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Arthur's like, everyone start talking. What's going on? I don't know nothing. I'm trying here. Because everyone treats him like he should know everything, but he doesn't. They also treat him like a human because he kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a lot that could have been. And it's really sad to see that I asked so many questions while watching this movie with Tim. I was like,
I know
was there a test audience? Was there anything? Did they read any of these comics? Did you just slap a name on these things? There was so much you could have taken, even with the idea of Black Manta and Arthur's beef. That right there is a whole can of worms.
Yeah, their relationship is unique.
Ocean Master and his brother, and then we have brothers, just again, brothers, fathers, sons, all these things. We had so many of these connections that we could have seen so many parallels. It would have been fan-stinking-tastic if we could have gotten all these, because who doesn't love to see parallels? Because there's parallels in everything. It's just life. Nothing's ever really unique, so why can't we just try to relate and build and just... Oh, boy.
Yeah. There was a good moral to this story. I will admit the idea of it doesn't matter if you're enemies, you're still family.
It's all about family.
Thanks, Dom. But I thought that was good, and it was very family focused for parts, but then there were other parts where it just they lost the element of family. It felt like army versus army, or one man army versus one man army, and they just left everything else behind.
So you would have had, so let's quickly talk about the time scale, because in the original movie we see them at Arthur's home, Atlantis, prison,
some island,
prison, underwater. Well, of course it's underwater. We see them at this weird pirate cove. We see them at this mutated world where all the bugs are ginormous. We see them at the weird desert place with all the weird desert fish people. And then we see them at the Lost Kingdom the last little bit. Do we need all these places?
No.
Ooh.
I think the three, or maybe we hang on to four of them. We hang on to Arthur's home, obviously.
I think that one is a no-brainer.
Atlantis, obviously. The island, and then the Lost Kingdom, obviously. Okay. I feel like
just those four.
That's all they need.
I feel like the Pirate Cove again could have been where they need to get info. Quick. Yeah, it could have been where they wanted to get info. We're kind of gilding a little bit of world building, just a little bit, but not too much. That would have been okay.
Enough to hint that there is more out there, but it's not the focus. Well, and they did need the prison, but I'm not gonna count that as a separate place. I'm just gonna have that be.
Actually, I would have wanted, because I would have wanted Black Manta to come in and mess people up. Because he could have easily done 15 minutes of them talking, and it could have just been a big heist, Tai Lung style breakout, which is to me one of the epitomes of a breakout scene. That or Stitch.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a good breakout scene? And it would have been hilarious because technically Orm didn't want to leave. I would have imagined he was fighting tooth and nail to get this. So, well, you didn't want that. So I want to ask though, if Orm did get kidnapped, when and where would you want them to reunite, and how?
The island.
Okay.
The island. I would have it be they track him to the island and they
have a little mini fight.
Kind of like they did in the actual movie. And Aquaman, says, look, he's about to kill everybody you know and love. I know you don't like me, but you've got to work with me.
He definitely would have tackled Arthur at one point, and they're just literally having a little punch fight.
100%.
100%. He's like, Orm, wait, Orm, I'm trying to help. My kingdom, my girl. Oh yeah, he was gonna marry Mara because Ocean Master goes, Black Manta goes, first you steal his throne and then you steal his girl, Aquaman. I am disappointed. I really that part I was
funny.
like, that is Black Manta right there. And I need moments like that. That teasing. Again,
That was a good example of funny, but not too funny.
it's not even like funny. It's demoralizing. It's
Yeah.
just you going, oh, shame, shame. Like just a villain talking down to you, being so cocky that, oh, look at you. And it would have been so funny if they were working together. And they picked a great actor for him.
I think just about all of the actors they chose, save one, in my own personal opinion, that doesn't matter. I think everybody else, the actors did well.
I cannot say, and I feel so bad because Yah, oh my gosh, Yaha Abdul Mateen the second was Black Manta.
He's in a lot of other movies.
He is, and I honestly would want him to be Jon Stewart, the Black Green Lantern.
He would do a really good job, I think.
I know he's 37, but I feel like he would just, honestly, no, Marvel, get a hold of him and just replace him. Have him be King. He could do it.
He could do it.
I really would. I honestly, because I saw trailers for Candyman, this terrifying R-rated movie that I was like, no, I'm good. And just I feel like he could do it. I feel like he could be King. And I think people have requested, like, hey, Marvel, if you're not going to, I'm going to not get into Jonathan Majors. I don't know too much, but all I'll say is many people thought the same thing with Johnny Depp. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm done. I'm done with that. I don't know, and I wish we could have gotten more. But whatever. If that's the choice, that's who I would pick for Kang. Because he stole the show for me. MVP of this movie was Black Manta. But I also love Black Manta. Because to me, he is just as awesome as Black Panther. I love him. He's like this dark, twisted version of Batman and Black Panther combined into a water baby. And I love it. That's a weird visualization, but I still love it. So much source material, and you just couldn't deliver. And it breaks my heart. So my question, Tim, who do you want to be the new Aquaman?
Ooh. You know, it might be a little controversial, but I think Chris Hemsworth would be a really good.
Duh. No, we gotta get someone. So
No,
but
I like the original feel for Aquaman, where he's, blonde, blue eyes, white boy.
And that's Tim's opinion, and that's absolutely fine. Because guess what? This is our podcast.
It is. Well, and that's
when I think of Aquaman, I think of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed dude.
Yeah, that's who I saw in the comics.
But did Jason Momoa kill it though?
He did. Absolutely, he did. He did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But I think for the next one, I think they do what they did with the comics originally, and they'll do something great.
I could honestly see him being I could see him being Pacific Islander again. I honestly could. I really like that idea. It gives me Maui vibes, and I hope I really like it. I really do. I honestly have been starting to imagine Aquaman being Pacific Islander, and I honestly have been loving it. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense in my opinion. So with that being said, I could see it going either way. I will be ready for whatever. I will really try to, because again, this character is a classic character. It is old, but Jason Momoa really made me go, I can see this going either way. But blonde hair, I imagine someone like Reacher from the Reacher show, like someone he is meant, Aquaman can take a punch from Superman pretty good.
I mean, he's supposed to be an Atlantean, right? Which is, Atlanteans are tough.
Yeah, and he also has magic. He can swim faster he swims faster than Superman, which freaks Superman out. He's like, wait a minute. wait a minute. Because Superman can swim amazingly fast because he's just flying. But for Aquaman to just go, it makes Superman go, ha!
Aquaman is supposed to be able to swim faster than the speed of sound.
Yes.
He's supposed to be quick.
Fast. And it's... I'm excited to see what happens. But we have a while.
Mm-hmm.
I am honestly very optimistic. And this year could be the year that DC... We're going to have Deadpool and Superman go against each other this year. And I am... Or that... No. Sorry. Next year, it's going to be the Fantastic Four against Superman Legacy. And I will be going to the movies that weekend and ready.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be one of my favorite weekends next year, even if I have to go alone.
I'll go with you.
Okay. I am so excited. But with that, I think that's it. I'm pretty happy with this episode. It was a fabulous discussion. And Jerry, once again, thanks for giving us this. He really wanted us to discuss it. I hope this did you justice. I hope this did justice. Whatever. You know what I mean, Jerry.
We hope we did your request justice.
Yes. Thank you, Tim.
Justice League.
But everyone, thanks again. And we've been loving the support. And I can't believe that we have done over, I think it's 35.
I think this is 35.
Good heavens. Oh, no.
This is episode 34.
34, okay.
But if we include the Christmas special, then this will be 35.
No, that was a special. It doesn't
was
count.
a special.
That was us talking on a random day.
This is true.
But no, I can't believe that we're almost there. We're almost at 50. We've almost been doing this for a year, Tim.
It's crazy.
It is. And
we do have something special for all of you guys on our episode 50.
Oh, we have to get going on that.
But we're not going to tell you what. It's something special. We think you guys will enjoy it. We hope you guys will enjoy it.
We really do, and I need to give y'all Spider-Man soon.
You're going to have to wait 15 weeks for the one.
You feel like that's going to be a long time, but it ain't.
It's only 3 months.
It's only 3 months. That's
less than 3 months.
Less than 3 months, and I'm just... Mm-hmm. No, it's a little more. 3 times 4, 12. So almost 5 weeks. No, I'm sorry. I can't talk.
Almost 4
well,
months.
Almost 4 months. So
like
a little,
3.5 months.
3.5 months.
Yeah. 3.5 months. You guys have to wait. We got some time to...
So beginning of June.
Do our thing.
That's when we were hoping to do it anyway. But yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah. Unlike the DCEU getting rebooted, I hope you guys can all continue forward, keep moving forward, keep living life, being happy. I hope you guys can all treat each other super.
Oh my gosh, Tim.
to be cheesy. No, in all reality, thank you guys for the support, and please be kind to each other, love each other, treat each other as though you were friends, family, etc., even if you're not. And until next time, we'll see you later, pitches.
Bye.